Welcome back to Let's Get Haunted with your host,
Nat Strawn
and Aly.
Hi Haunties, it's Nat. For those of you who are new here, every Friday in the month of October, Let's Get Haunted opens up the LGH archives to deliver you spooky stories told by the Haunties who experience them firsthand. We know you freaks look forward to this special miniseries every single spooky season, so without further ado, Kristen, what's haunting you?
I'm Kristen, and this is my story of my haunting through most of my childhood. So originally, I am from California. We moved to Georgia when I was very young, so none of the Appalachian legends were familiar with us. I'm like getting chills thinking about this right now. That's how traumatic it was throughout my childhood and growing up into my teenage years. We moved into this house in about 2003 in Dallas, Georgia. It was brand new construction. You know, nothing, no history. It was a blank slate. The first day that we moved in, it was almost immediate. The signs were there. I remember walking up to my bedroom. There was this mattress against the wall. I walked in, it was shaking. First sign, I walked out. I didn't even think about it. So it started just with sounds and bumps and just noises. We didn't really see anything for the first month or two. We were on the second floor and hold on, I need to pause. Sorry, I haven't relived this for a minute. So a couple months in, we started noticing shadows and movement, and the noises start having an image to them. It's a 3-story house. So when you walk upstairs, it is our bedrooms. You turn around the banister and it's our bedrooms. We noticed this voice started becoming more apparent. It wasn't just noises anymore. It was a voice. We noticed a young girl, couldn't really make out the face, but she had long dark hair. And she would just say, hello, stuff like that, just little words. So kids, as we started talking back. We started asking questions, and we never really got an answer. We would just hear it trying to interject, trying to make a connection. So once that connection was made, we didn't hear from that girl for a while. So we didn't think about anything. Years go on, and you hear the noises still, it becomes normal. So as it was continuing, we started hearing more disturbing things. Animalistic noises. I remember one day, it was the most traumatic. I had a bed. Back in the day, we had box springs, and then we had the mattress, and there was like a 2-inch gap on the bottom. Nothing is under there. I couldn't even fit a box, not a shoebox, nothing. So I was laying there, I just laid down, and I heard something under my bed. I'm probably 12 at that point, 13, convincing myself that a squirrel got under my bed. Anything to just relieve me from the terror I was already feeling. On the bed, my foot bumps up, the mattress bumps up. Mind you, there is a box spring, so this is not possible. It bumps up, I'm petrified. I can't move, I can't scream, I can't even mutter a word. I'm laying there stiff as a board. And it starts moving up. The mattress is rolling almost, going towards, my head. So it gets to about my waistline, and I don't know how I got out of the bed, but I was terrified. It was real early, dark, no lights were on, running to my mom's bedroom. I'm 13. I did not care at that point. But that's just one thing. I remember my sister hearing voices all the time. I was her younger sister, so I'd go in there at night and just try to mess with her or whatever. And under her bed, you can hear multiple voices speaking at one time. I remember hearing it at the same time she did and saying, we're here. And we thought it was cool. So we started getting more intense at our house. So I remember getting together with my friends. We just bought a Ouija board. They sell them at stores now because they're toys. No one's taking it seriously, whatever the case may be. But we went up in my room And I had something called a spirit chaser in my ceiling. It's just a wood carving of this cat with wings. It was from Indonesia. It's like a dream catcher, supposed to catch bad spirits. We were sitting there and we were asking these questions, me and my friends, like, who are you? Giggling and think it was fun. We'd laugh. We'd think one of us is pushing it, answering this question, saying, I'm the one that stays. That's what it said. I'm the one that stays. Obviously we're kids, so we think one of us is just messing with us, just fucking around. We asked more questions, like, what do you want? And our hands weren't moving. I was like, okay, no one can come up with an answer. The spirit chaser hanging on the ceiling starts spinning around. There's like wind in my room. Wind, I'm not playing. Mind you, my window is shut. It was wind. It was 3 other people there. They saw the same thing. As soon as we started feeling that, we got up, we ran. We took the Ouija board and we threw it away. The only thing we ever got from that whole session was, I'm the one that stays. We didn't really take it serious at that point. At least I didn't. I was preteen going into high school. Me and my friends would go out and ghost hunt. I remember going to this really famous one in Dallas, Georgia. It's called Old White Oak Cemetery. White Oak is famous for a couple reasons. One, the church burned down, and they say that people were in it. And another reason is that they say there's 2 witches buried there. It was actually 2 women that got burned to death by the church. Soon after that, the church burnt down. That graveyard is messed up. It's fucked up, that whole thing. So you go down this road and you go into the woods. There's no lights, there's no sounds, there's no birds, there's no animals, nothing. You can't hear anything. It's just pines everywhere. And we used to take our phones out there and try to ask questions and record and everything like that. We thought it was really fun and cool to hear these voices speak back to you. How we communicated at that time to ghost hunt, me and my friend Kayla, we would take our phones and we would go out and we'd just keep it in our pocket. We'd ask questions. We'd walk around, jokingly like, oh, if you're here, show us, tell us then. And we would go and sit back in our car as we left and just listen to what we caught on there. We started hearing at first these little noises and voices in the background, far away it sounded like. As it progressed, we started hearing it come closer and closer and closer to where it was almost as if it was speaking straight into the phone. At that point, every time you got out of the car, mind you, there's no lights there. It's in the middle of the woods. So when you get out, it's utter silence. There's no wind, there's no birds, there's nothing. It's just a bad feeling when you get out. I remember asking a question at that gravesite. There was a plaque with 20 names on it, unrecognizable. I was talking to my friend, just talking to her, and I was like, I wonder how all these people died. And I'm not kidding you. It sounded like someone was speaking right behind us, and a man saying, all by fire. Deep, raspy, burnt voice. I started noticing the activity at my house started getting worse. Like something had latched on to us, both of us. We started hearing it come closer, and to one point, we heard the same voice, the man that said that they all burned, in the recording at our house. We should never have took that recording at the house. Yeah, no, that one was the worst. Hearing someone say that, it's hard for me to talk about. We recorded in our house because we wanted to know. I said, oh, if you're here, say something. And he said that we were going to burn. We were going to burn. So we were petrified at this point. We stopped recording immediately, and it didn't matter. We didn't need the phones anymore. We would hear it just by itself. It started to become so intense almost every single night at 3 a.m. In my dream, I was asleep. There's this voice, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, screaming. I had to convince myself it was sleep paralysis because there's this 7-foot man in my doorway, just cut off right here at the face. Couldn't see him. He went through my doorway constantly, coming towards me without moving, just floating. Of course, I'm like, this has to be sleep paralysis because this is the only thing that makes sense. That man, through the daytime at this point, this is how intense it was. You can feel his hand on the back going down the hallway. Just grab right here. All of us, my sister, me, my mom saw it standing over her bed. My friend who I ghost hunted with, this is the point where we stopped. It would just breathe down right between us when we were walking down the hallway. Just breathe. You could feel it, our hair, everything, seeing it all the time. We'd see and hear stuff. I was by myself. It was 3 a.m. I was a kid. It was summer. I was watching a movie and I felt like something was staring at me from the corner. I look and there's this man. His face was almost grayish blue and his eyes were hollowed out and he was just smiling at me from the corner. And as soon as he saw that I was looking at him, he just stopped and he disappeared. And all you can hear is these footsteps running up the stairs where my whole family is sleeping. I couldn't do anything because I couldn't move. I just remember calling my sister who was upstairs. I was like, please come down. Please come down. I can't be down here by myself. I can't get up. Something just went up the stairs. And at that point, I didn't need to explain anything to her. She heard all of this as well, all the time. We moved out of that house because of a couple reasons. One, me, my sister, and my mom, we couldn't take it anymore. It was just too much. I wouldn't sleep. My sister wouldn't sleep. My mom was petrified. I remember one of the last times we were there before she decided to move is when she saw that man, that very tall man, that dark figure. She said that she felt something press on the bed next to her, behind her back. And she said she heard her father's voice. My grandfather said, don't open your eyes. Just trust. She said she felt that breath that I was talking about right on her ear, just breathing like it was looking at her over her face, waiting for her just to open her eyes. She didn't until it left. I remember that night she had gone down the hallway and got all three of us, me, my brother, and my sister, and we slept in her room for the last couple weeks that we were there because of how bad. And we would hear things down the hallway getting into our rooms. We were terrified. My mom told my dad, she was like, we're moving, we can't do this anymore.
Hey guys, it's Nat. My 9-month-old hates getting in the high chair. He just wants to be held all the time. He doesn't want to be apart from me. And I get it. I'm pretty great. But sometimes I need a break. So here's what I do. Little Spoon makes these organic meltable baby puffs. I just toss one of the puffs onto the high chair. And then my baby is so concerned with grabbing it that he doesn't cry when I put him in the high chair anymore. I call them my little fuss busters. Whenever he's upset or he's having a moment, all I have to do is toss some of these puffs out and he loves them so much it instantly changes his mood. I love everything from Little Spoon. It makes my life so much easier. And Little Spoon is the first baby and toddler food company to set strict publicly available standards for heavy metals, pesticides, and more in their food. Their recipes are made with pediatricians, packed with hidden veggies. Everything is made with real ingredients. There's no artificial flavors, sweeteners, or dyes. These meals and snacks show up on my doorstep every 2 weeks. And if you're not into the whole online thing, Little Spoon is now available in your brick and mortar Target store. Little Spoon is the mealtime hack parents can't stop talking talking about. Try their no prep, nutrient-packed meals and snacks for babies, toddlers, and big kids. Get 50% off your first online order at littlespoon.com/haunted with code HAUNTED at checkout. That's LITTLESPOON.com/haunted. And don't forget to use our show's code for 50% off your first order. And now back to getting haunted.
Being that we were from California, we didn't know about all the Appalachian folklore, which is pretty heavy out here because it is an older part of the United States. There's a lot more trauma going through, like, just history and just the slavery and just everything. There's a lot of pain in this region. I believe, and what I've been told, it's caused a lot of doorways to open to things that are malevolent and that like to feed almost on this pain and just this vulnerability with children and people that are weak-minded or whatever may be the case, just someone they can grab hold of. We have skinwalkers over here. That's what they call them. Something that, for instance, looks innocent and tricks you into interacting with it and basically becomes a parasite on you. I've heard a lot of different stories like mine. Once they attach to these people, they don't leave. And they push them to a point where they basically have taken their own lives. You know, that's the only thing that stops it for a lot of people is just ending it because they can't take it anymore. You know, back in the day, you know, you were cast into an asylum. There was no real help for these people that had the same kind of experience that I did. Luckily, it ended for me because I couldn't go on like that. They're almost like parasitic things that are out here roaming around, just waiting, attached to this land because of how much pain there is. Things in the woods, you know, just like cryptids. I haven't seen that. You can hear it more so, but the demons almost that I want to call them, because they're not ghosts. They're not like friendly things. They're not human in any way. Like feed from this pain out here. Almost like weave you into it, into staying here, feeding it, keeping it that way. When we moved out of that house, it was almost like it grounded to that place. I'll go back every once in a while just to look at it because that's where I grew up. And people are in and out of that house constantly. The tall man, I'll just call him the tall man. I really never gave him a name. I don't believe that he was actually the man from the cemetery because he never said anything. He only got close. You can only hear him breathing. He never sounded like a person. I think the tall man was that girl that we saw. I think that tall man was always there at that place. I think that eventually there was like an opening. We opened a door and made it a home. We unintentionally invited these spirits. Good, bad, I don't know, but the tall man was bad. I know the tall man was bad because once we started asking questions and really interacting with the girl that didn't really have a face, we would just kind of see her. It's like almost like I would imagine someone with glasses. Like you look at it through the corner of your eyes and she didn't really have a face. And she never really talked back. It was like she was asking a question. And when we answered it, I think that we opened that door. We invited that spirit. They say, because I've done a lot of research on this, that demons and malevolent spirits disguise themselves as something that's harmless to trick you into letting itself in. Because a spirit can't technically reside anywhere that it can be cast from. After that little girl disappeared, the tall man came in its place. So I don't think they're the two the same. We would hear multiple things, but that one was always present. I think that the hollowed out eyes on that man, I think that may have been something from the graveyard, because that wasn't there always. That was there years after. I don't think that was the same one. Me, personally, I would never play with the Ouija board again. I would not touch a Ouija board. I would not let my children touch a Ouija board. If I saw someone buy it or interact with it, I would give them a warning, because when you open a door, something is waiting and you will never be able to tell if it's good or bad. It's not something that you can use to control. A lot of people like using Ouija boards to talk to like a loved one, or, try to seek comfort, that last goodbye or something from someone they care about. But it's not like a phone. It's more like a door. You don't know who you're getting or what. I had to convince myself it stopped once we moved out. And I made almost like a deal with myself. I wouldn't interact with these things again in any way or shape or form, like go out and record or ask questions, or basically I had to close the door and I had to keep it closed. And I haven't done anything like that since. Not interact. That's the only thing that kept it at bay, is just sealing yourself from that. Because once you stare into the darkness, there's always something staring back, waiting just for someone, something, an opportunity. I almost had to cast this dark energy from my life. You have to verbally say it. You have to believe it. You have to do it. You have to live that way to keep it at bay. For me, that's worked. And that's how I continue to do it. I won't even tell my kids about this at all, just so they have no interaction. And I hope they don't. I feel like females in particular, and children, have more sensitivity to it, because my husband and a lot of other men haven't had the same experiences. Women are more sensitive to these things. People say it's because we're mothers, or we have that ability to have the planes interact with each other. I don't know. But yeah, I hope no one has an experience like that. And I'm very grateful that some people don't.
Oh my God, I'm freaking out, you guys. The part where she said she was sleeping and it was like, wake up, wake up, wake up. And then the part where she said that she could hear the voice getting closer and closer to her. I'm not okay. I'm physically unwell. You guys, I think I just got haunted. Happy Halloween, haunties. Bye.